There it is.
Recording in progress. Welcome to what's today? Wednesday. It's day 3 of the Video Game Clubs of America Tabletop Game Design Series, sponsored by VGC USA. Thank you for joining us this morning. I want to start today's session kind of reviewing what we did yesterday, or what I hoped happened yesterday. If you're behind, that's okay. We're going to have time to work as well. Yesterday, I challenged everyone to create at least 15 cards to start their prototype card game. And then if they got their 15 cards, to partner up with another human or a group of humans and test it. So the first document I want to share with whoever is in charge of the Zoom is right here. I'm going to pop that there. And just in case, I'm also going to share my screen. So you get you have access to it, but just in case you want to look at it on my end, when I first got to have a fun time swimming, honey. My daughter's going swimming today. So when I first found an organization called Unpub to play test Lords of Baseball, my game, what they showed me was a variant of this worksheet right here. They had numbers that you circle and things like that. It was built for pen and paper. I modified that for my students in my game design class, and that's what you see here, so that they can write digitally or share with their classmates through Google Drive. So every student has access to this worksheet, and what they would do is at the top where it says play test feedback, like underneath that, I tell them, write, this is the student's game that we played. So if I played Micah's game, I would put Micah dash Time Travelers, or whatever game that he made, card game, dice game, tile game, so he knows which one it is. And there are 5 questions here that are supposed to be filled out, and I try to start with the positive, even though when I play test my games, the first thing I start with is negative. So in my classes, the first thing I want my students to do is in detail talk about what they liked about the game. Give that other student a pat on the back, make them feel good. Like, yeah, I liked this. There's always something that you like. And what I don't want from my play testers is something vague, like, I don't know, the cards were good. Really? You thought the cards were good. Why? Why were the cards good? The icons on the cards were easy to understand and learn. You see how that's different? It doesn't take a lot more text. It doesn't take a lot more work. Being clear and descriptive is valuable when you're giving feedback to someone. As detailed as you can possibly be. Card number 42, veterans minimum, because maybe I titled my cards, was a good, without even, it's tough to give feedback on a game I haven't played. Was a good example of how your market operated. I was able to understand the icons well. Like that's a lot right there. Like that's excellent feedback. I don't need excellent feedback from my students. I want good feedback from them. So that's the first thing that I would have you discuss with your group. What did you like about the game? All right, next up. And this is where you have to have a little bit of thick skin, where the play testers are not attacking you. This is something that just didn't work. And honestly, if you were either playing the game with your group or watching the play test, because sometimes you do that, you probably know what they're going to talk about. You have an idea of what didn't go well, what didn't work, what you didn't like, things like that. And again, this is very it's good if it's very detailed, not I didn't like the game. Oh, well, bummer. Why? Why didn't you like the game? I didn't like how quickly the game ended. The ending was a surprise to me. Okay, that's a little clearer. So now I can focus on, okay, my end game mechanic. When somebody hit 5 points, the game was over. Well, they didn't like that. Okay, well, maybe somebody else did like that. So you weigh the good and the bad. I think that the ending could be improved if everyone took the same number of turns based on where they are in turn order. So now that's excellent feedback. It's feedback where I didn't like this, but this is what I would do to make it better. And as a designer, you look at these feedback forms and you realize they're just that, they're feedback. They're not instructions. You are the designer. If you like the way the game ended, good. It's your choice. If someone else doesn't, tell them to make their own game. Right? There's enough going on in my game that I know people don't like. Well, they're welcome to invent their own game, and that's okay too. You don't tell them that, right? You just say thank you for your feedback. I appreciate it. Don't be rude with people because they are taking the time to play a prototype of yours. So you want to be polite as the game designer, and you want to appreciate all their feedback. Say thank you, and I'll make a note of that. And then you just make a note that, okay, they said this, and I'm not going to change it because I like it. Number 3. So this is really important because especially the first couple times you play a game, was there a situation during the game you didn't plan for it? And did you have to come up with an answer on the fly? Why is this really important? Because you want to make sure you address this possible situation in your rule book or your teaching sheet. So yesterday we made a sheet of paper that I said, to write a couple sentences on what a turn looks like. You want to update that constantly. Every play test that you run, that should update. Be more clear in this direction. Update this example, things like that. Okay. How did you handle those questions during the game? Did you make a rule? So in the middle of my game, I'm supposed to roll a D6, and something happens if I roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Well, if somebody rolled a 6, oh, what do I do? What did I do? Was it good? Do I need to change that? Okay. So that number 3 is really important for the designer. And then number 4, it's just an overall, what do you think you need to make what do you need to do to make the game better? And this gives the play tester, a real blank canvas. I didn't like the ending. And if they didn't give me, an idea in question 2, this gives them another chance to slide that in there. And that's important from a design standpoint to see, well, you didn't like A, B, and C. What would you do differently? And if you didn't tell me up above, well, tell me now. I'm open to that. And finally, for my class, what's important is, who play tested and did they give you good feedback? Because I mark that as part of the grade. in my world of game design, I know three people right off the top of my head right now who, if I have a prototype, I want to get my prototype in front of. Matt, Scott, Chris are three of they're friends, but they're friends who don't necessarily want to soften my feelings, right? Like they understand that I will take their criticism because they'll tell me, well, I didn't like this because blank, I would do blank instead. Um, so as someone who designs stuff just for fun, if I want to test it with someone, well, they're the first three people I'm going to seek out because I'll get some good feedback right away, and that's important. All right, so my first goal for you guys is to, and then we're back here. My first goal for you guys today is, obviously, if you didn't get a chance to play your game or play somebody else's game, hopefully you have something that you can play. If not, then you're back, you're still designing, you're still creating, and that's okay. Um, I'm going to give you guys, and I'm going to say 10 minutes for right now, 10 or 15 minutes, that if you played yesterday, you don't have to write any of this out. I mean, if you want to, you can, but I want you to have like an in-group discussion. What do you remember about the game? Maybe you don't remember anything, and that's okay. This, usually you do this feedback form while you're playing. I didn't want to overload you with create the game and here's a form. So just get with your groups, talk. What do you remember liking? What do you remember not liking? Be polite, be respectful, and appreciate people's feedback. Okay. I'll come back here in about, like I said, about 15, and maybe we can share out with one another what we thought, at least briefly. Okay. So I will check back with you. If you need me or want to run something by me, just give me a holler. All right. Go to it. All right. Stop. It's my buzzer saying, hey, check in with people. So I see my friends at Indian Valley. You guys still, are you still designing? You still creating? If you get a chance to play, you're still designing over there?
Still designing. We have a lot of really great, really detailed ideas here.
Cool.
But yeah, so you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, since yesterday, I'm still working on the over detailed cards.
Not a problem, man. Not a problem. Um, did anybody either at Schlo or Leechburg get a chance to test? Get a chance to get some feedback? Because honestly, if you're still in the design stage right now, you did good. That's good. That's great. If you're still in the design stage, then that's totally cool. I'm just trying. I'm going to give you the whole process, um, condensed. I mean, it takes me hours to come up with a concept and then create a prototype. So I just want to make sure you guys have enough time to both, do this, but then get, some kind of experience with the rest of the process. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'll tell you what, because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I'll set the clock. We'll go another 10-15, and I'll do another check-in with you. In 15 minutes, though, I will go into the next kind of phase. And this phase is way down the line. But again, this is just to give you some kind of exposure and experience to it. Okay. So 15-minute check-in. If you're building, cool. If you're finished, like if you got your play test, you got your feedback, I have something for you. Just as, hey, try this. There are 30 texts coming in to me right now. There's a website in the chat that everybody can use their iPads for. It's a .io site, cardgames.io. But if you go to cardgames.io, there are, a bunch of different games that you can play. I wanted you to try a game called Rummy, because Rummy, if you've never played Rummy, it's a game that deals with, regular pack of cards. And it's just like Uno, you're trying to get rid of your cards, but you're trying to collect sets. It's a set collection game. That's a new mechanic. Set collection. You can either create three or more of the same card, or a run of cards. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you an example. I'm going to share my screen. This is what the game looks like. All right, so here we go. I'm VGC Max. I'm going to play against Bill. You can play against 2, 3, or 4 players. You can actually set it up where you're playing against each other if you figure out multiplayer. But the system will deal you cards, and you can sort them if you want. It'll sort them by suit. On your turn, you either draw the face-up card or a blind card. So if I draw this jack, I will have 2 jacks. So yeah, let's do that. I'll draw the jack. But then on my turn, I either have to what they call meld or lay down, and I don't have 3 of a kind. Oh, actually I do. I lied. I'm going to click meld. The ace counts as a 1, the 2 and the 3 of spades. So that's my run. And then they want you to discard a card. I'll discard the 10. So now Bill takes his turn, and he can meld off of my run. So he laid down the 4 of spades. The 9 of hearts, that is a good card for me because I have a 9, but I also have 8, 9 with a jack. So let's get rid of, I don't know, the 2. King doesn't help me. I drew an 8, and that is a potential run here. So now I have a choice I have to make. I have a pair of 6s, a pair of 8s, a pair of 9s, and a pair of jacks. I'm going to get rid of the jack, and that's going to be a mistake. That was a mistake. Look at this. So I'm going to draw this. I have a meld of 8, 9, 10 as a run, and I will discard this jack. So whenever one player goes out, and watch this, I'm about to go out. I'm going to draw this 7. I'm going to meld a 6, 7, 8, 9 of hearts, and then you have to have a card to discard. So the last one I discard. So every card you have left in your hand counts for its point value. So the face cards are worth 10. Like I just rolled 41 points on this guy. Oh, and this counted my score from yesterday. I was playing yesterday too. So you can give Rummy a try. Try to play with somebody else. If you're done with your game, if you're still working on your game's more important than Rummy. You can play that anytime. Okay. But if you're caught up, if you have all your feedback and all that stuff, then that'll give you something to do for the next 10 or 15 minutes until I get into the next part. Okay. And as always, if you need something, just give me a holler. I'm here. Go to it. I don't know. All right, there's my 10-15 minute timer. I love the fact that our friends at Indian Valley are still playing. Keep that up. Keep that energy going. The one thing that I want to introduce, though, at least like today's goal, it's the opposite side of game design. All right, it's the story. All right, we worked on mechanics and we build our game based around mechanics, but then there's a story aspect to it. And I don't want to say that good games have a good story, because sometimes good games don't have any story. But I want to at least stoke some creative fires in you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the next worksheet. So workshop number 2 is, once you have, and this part of the process can happen first. There's no right or wrong order. It's just, this is the way that I've seen it done. And it's the story portion of the rule book. We're not going to write an entire rule book, because that's the last thing you do, right? Because the rules can change so often during a play test, right? So the step-by-step how to play, that's last. We're probably not going to get there this week. But the story part, this is fun, creative writing. If you are a creative type who likes to, create new worlds or universes, I guess, as they say, this is the best part of game design for you. So in order to do this, I mean, what do you need? You need a piece of paper and a pen, or an iPad with a writing app, a laptop with a keyboard, something where you can get your thoughts written on paper or on screen, saved. Okay. So the action steps that we do, I mean, essentially think about the game you've made. All right. So I've made a game about capturing criminals called the Feds. Right. So I'm going to put myself in a big city, and I'm going to create an environment where it's dark. It's always night. It's raining. It's cold. There's criminals everywhere. It's maybe scary, right? So if you're creating a fantasy game, when I think of fantasy games, I think of outer space, pink, purple, sparkles. And I think that's largely because I have a 6-year-old daughter who likes My Little Pony. That's the fantasy world that I go to. But there's deep space, Star Trek, Star Wars, things like that. Like, those are darker than bright pink and sparkles. What kind of game do you have? So figure out that environment. How would you describe it? Right? It's like, come up with 10 descriptive words about that environment that you have in your head. Right? Brainstorm, the entire universe. Is it Earth? Is it a different planet? Is it an alternate universe? Is it a parallel dimension? Is it a kitchen? Is it a car? There's no wrong answer here. Okay. And then you really just start writing, like a complete rough draft. Get your thoughts down. Don't think about what you're writing. Don't worry about grammar and penmanship and all that happy stuff. I know it sounds weird coming from a teacher. Don't worry about grammar, but you're going to go back and edit it. Writing the story is just like the game design. You're going to go back and smooth it out. The goal for you in this, I want you to come up with at least 10 sentences. At least. If you go more, awesome. Do that. It's easier to edit down than it is to edit up. So, like, if you want to create a sense of environment, you're in the woods. Okay. If that's all I have, coming up with more might be hard. But if I gave you an entire paragraph and you said, well, the rule book, we need to chop down a little bit, so you need to edit this down get rid of a paragraph. That's a little easier to do, right? I'm going to give you some examples. So though there's 5 links that, they have variable lengths, they have variable environments or styles. So I showed you my rule book. So if you click on the Lords of Baseball link, that'll take you to a PDF. If it doesn't, please let me know. You have to scroll down, I think, to page 2 or 3 to find the story of Lords of Baseball. So it's called Introduction. It's page 3. There's 3 paragraphs that we've written. Cartographers, if you are interested in Dungeons and Dragons, Cartographers it's in that universe, kind of. And it's 3 paragraphs, but one of them is really just a sentence. So that's pretty short. Ticket to Ride is a game that is about connecting trains across the country. And there's 3 paragraphs of a story there. The next one is called Vegas Showdown. It's about building casinos in Las Vegas. If you go to page 2 of that page, you'll see, a rule book that has a really short story. And then Twilight Imperium, I put this in there because I thought there might be one person who's just like super into concept and story. Twilight Imperium is a game that takes anywhere from 6 to 10 hours to play. It's a super epic game, but if you read through the story of the game, I mean, there's 2 pages worth of backstory and, Mechatol City and the custodian or the president. There is an incredible backstory there. So a game that takes, 8 hours to play probably should have an epic backstory. That is absolutely not what I'm hoping for in this activity. I'm hoping you give me a paragraph. I'm hoping you give me 10 sentences. All right. But I want you to, take some time, read through those. Get a sense of, if you can have a storyteller there. If the librarian wants to, you don't have to read the whole aspect of Twilight Imperium, but it puts you in a frame. So I'll give you, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a paragraph here if it loads. In Twilight Imperium, you get a picture of this alien dude. My name is Matom Iksirva. I am the winner and keeper of the Custodian Chronicle, and I write this from the ancient tower of annals in old Mechatol City. Since inheriting the duties of the Chronicle from my father, I have enjoyed the inspiring views of great buildings, ancient towers, and the bright lights of life that stretch into the distance. Yet, like the shadow at my feet, I can never escape or forget the lethally finite borders of this city. Less than 1,000 leagues from my tower, great shields protect us from the poisonous dust that is the Sea of Desolation, the terrible wasteland that covers most of the planet. Dude, they've just they built a world, man. And like that kind of stuff, I like that kind of stuff in games. There are people out there that are just like, dude, set the game up, let's play. I think it's kind of neat to get into the theme of the game. And as a designer, I know people who have played my game who have gotten even more into the theme. And that makes me feel like super awesome. So as a designer, I think it's important to put your game players in the story if you can. So this is your opportunity to do that. All right. So that's the process. So we're there, right? We started with the end in mind. We came up with a beginning. We thought of some mechanics. We're prototyping. Some of us still prototyping. We tested. We found out some things that didn't work. We go back and revise them, and we test again. That process is called iteration. You're iterating. So version 1, version 2. Once you have something that you like, you start to put the rules together, and this is the story is part of that. That is game design 101, right? And we're there on on Wednesday, halfway through the week, Wednesday at 11. So the goal for today, the rest of the hour, if you're still building, don't stop. Your prototype, I want you to come up with a playable prototype. That's the most important thing. And sometimes inspiration takes a minute. I get that. But go through those steps. Prototype, test, feedback, appropriate feedback, one-on-one, group on one, whatever. Revise, consider, some of the mistakes that didn't work, and then put a story together. And you could almost play test the story, although that's not something that I've done. You go through, do you like this? Does this make sense? Does it fit the overall theme of the game? Does it add something, or is it just kind of a waste? Right? And that's the goal for today. Tomorrow, we'll start throwing in other components. I see my friends in Indian Valley have a yellow cube. It looks like a die. Yeah. Are you using dice in your game? Thumbs up or thumbs down? You're using dice? That's okay. The initial challenge was no dice, but I'm not gonna. If you were a student in my class, I would tell you the dice chapter is the next chapter, so no dice right now. But if dice are working for you, not a problem. Keep it up. Okay. But we're going to talk about dice tomorrow and what dice actually do in games. We'll do a little bit more theory, and we're going to play some games. We'll play some more games tomorrow before we wrap up with the big challenge on Friday. Okay. So I'm giving you the hour now. You have the hour. So if you're watching the recording, this part is really just, work through the process. And if you have questions, Indian Valley, or my friends in Leechburg or Schlo, give me a holler, okay? Because I'll be here. All right. So have fun, do your thing, and I'm here.
At least the one that rolled
As we hit 11:34, we got about a half hour left. I have a favor I want to ask you because I see you guys are doing some really cool stuff. If this is something amenable to you, if this is something that you're willing and allowed and all that stuff to do, if you would be so kind as to take like some pictures of some of the kids' prototypes so that like VGC USA could blast it out to the world saying, hey, look at what these kids have made. Like, look at this cool stuff that we're doing. I put my email up on the screen. If you could email me just a couple pictures, they don't have to have the kids' faces or anything like that. Just, what they're building so that, we could say, hey, this is what we're doing. I would appreciate it. I know Bound would appreciate it because I see what you guys are doing and it looks really cool. And I'd just like to share it out with people. So again, we're here. I'm here for another 25 if you need me or want to run something by me. But I hope things are going smoothly for you. If you're stuck on something, give me a shout. I'll see what I can do.
Hey, Max, my friend Yehor is still working on his game here, and he would like to show you what he's got so far.
Let's do it.
Like yesterday, here's the cover of the game. And I already finished some of the cards in the game, and I have a really big backstory plan. Like the other game the big one, that takes like 8 hours to play,
The Twilight Imperium game.
Yeah, the backstory will be pretty big, and this game will probably take like 2 hours to play.
Okay.
And like, I made some new card designs. And I am gonna use a hexagonal dice to let the players move around the map. And then,
One of these guys.
yeah, these guys. And I'm gonna make a board. And then you can attach different mountains to it, and then when you walk to get to the central island where you have to, that's the final stage, you need to have special magical items which you get from battles. And the backstory will be pretty much hello new traveler, your mission for today. You know what, for now. Then there will be the backstory, and when the backstory is finished, it'll be on the back of this card. And then this card, after it, there will be 2 more cards with the rules of the game, because there will be a lot of rules for the game. And then there will be a box full of different types of cards. And then there'll be separators for the cards. And then you can even play the game.
That sounds awesome, man. The one thing I'm going to share with you here, if you're ever trying to test something, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow as well, because we're going to talk about dice tomorrow. There's a link in the chat there it's on calculator.net, where you can, if you don't have a hexagonal dice, when we refer to dice, we usually refer to them how many sides they have. So this is a D12. And do I have something different here? Yeah, so there's one here that looks like a spinning top. This is a D10. There's 10 sides on this guy. And I had a D4 in here. Here we go. It kind of looks like a pyramid. It's just there's 4 sides to this die. If you don't have access to that kind of stuff, that website, you can go, and where it says non-conventional die roller, you can change that to, a 20-sided die, and it'll roll for you. So if you ever get to a point where you want to test a game and maybe you don't like the D12, you want to try a D20 or a D50 or a D6000, you know what they call a D6000? A ball. There's too many. Yeah, he got in the back. Yeah. So if you want to try different sides, like that website, and I'll share that out again tomorrow when we talk about dice. But dude, what you have sounds awesome. Like, and your artwork on the cards is awesome. I dig it a whole lot. I really do. Good work, man.
Thank you.
So the helicopter game, I already done like the backstory.
Okay, cool. You want to lay it on me?
So like you will have to read the backstory, then you'll like then you'll understand like 50% of the card.
That's good.
So basically, there's a second Cold War in the 90s. And this guy says that Cuba made a bomb that will explode in the center of Russia. The radiation spread from person to person. Then zombies started to take over Russia, America, Europe, and many more countries. These were some tribes, aka people that survived. The Croc tribe, the Sushkigli tribe, that tribe, and many more. The War of the Tribes also started in New York. There's like a second nuclear bomb that placed in the center of New York. Cuba did it again. And this guy said that he has to stop it from exploding it. Because of it's complicating zombies.
That's so what you described, the story I got in my head, it didn't feel zombie like, it felt alien like. It felt like there was an alien invasion. Maybe the zombies are aliens. If you, I don't know if you've ever heard of or seen the movie Independence Day, but at the very beginning of that movie, all of the spaceships were floating into Earth's atmosphere, and they were positioning themselves above cities all over the world, in Europe, in Russia, in New York, in Washington, D.C. So like what you just described, like the zombie attacks in all those different places, that's where my head went. But that doesn't mean that's, I think what you have is a really cool idea. And like you said, you kind of get the feeling of half the cards with that. If that's what your cards are based around, that's a great opening story, and it doesn't give away too much. It still leaves some space for people to play the game and experience it. I think it's really good, man. Good job.
You're welcome.
What?
It's very like close, like.
Oh, yeah, I can mute it. I'll mute it.
Just hit the button. All right, folks, it looks like it's about that time. I have 11:57. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Tomorrow we'll be back here live at 10 o'clock, and we're going to talk a little bit about how dice get incorporated into our game. We're going to play a couple dice games that'll be, individual. So if you have the iPads, that'll be something you can play. And then we will create things with dice then. So I want to thank you guys for coming out, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, folks.
See you guys.